Oh, come on.
I missed everything coming back. I messed up everything coming back in, only to get here and we have this conversation. Cats, what are we doing, bro?
What a transition this was. In the bottom right-hand side, it is MilkiCow.
And in the upper left, our Blue Protoss player is going to be MaNa.
So see the proxy attempt from MilkiCow here right away. I'm gonna be doing a quick barracks by the looks of it, and proxying just Reaper maybe, right?
Yeah.
Or what's going on? You think, or you think something more devious?
I wouldn't say there's anything too devious going on, Cats.
Oh
but-
man, it's gonna get scouted right away.
Well, definitely not too devious then, because it's going to get shut down before we even begin. That's kind of brutal, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's not great.
I mean, this might be game ending. There is some positions where the SUV cannot be hit, but yeah, it's about like 40%, I think, maybe 30% surface area where it's negated. There's another SUV on the way, and the first SUV is going to choose to go across to scout, and actually, okay, that is, I mean, that is
Okay.
a move that you can do.
Okay. Yeah, a little engineering bay block.
Okay.
We take those.
And look at this, the SUV does tuck himself in the invulnerable zone. The other one, unfortunately, for MilkiCow is very, very weak. So lack of the draw here, he's betting a lot on the RNG for that SUV to stay in cover for the majority of its life duration, life cycle, and it does. So that is rather lucky for MilkiCow as the next one arrives right on time to continue on the building train. And at the end of it all, he didn't lose anything. But a little bit of time, right? Like, it's still good for MaNa, but not the end of the world for the cow. Oh, okay, that's the end of the world.
That's a probe kill, man. He's just gonna go for it. As, you know what? He gets the Reaper on the way. Maybe not the ideal start, but he's still alive. He's still hopping and rocking, isn't he? So, don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's playable. Now he is also forced to make his command center on the high ground as well. There is a Zealot out after all, but obviously MaNa is going to look to stay very defensive with that Zealot. MilkiCow recognizes the potential for that Zealot to be waiting for the Reaper at the ramp, and now there's a Stalker as well to accompany it, which means this proxy Reaper accomplished only negative EV, and on the other side MaNa is dropping a Pylon to get fancy and quirky himself. He's gonna do some nasty stuff with what looks to be a gateway. What's that about?
Yeah, just gonna put some pressure on, man. Maybe just says, you know what, you've not had the best start here, so I'm just gonna get myself set up to be a little bit aggressive, right? To kind of, you know, put some pressure on. I don't hate it, because, like, you know, MilkiCow does have to float that barracks home. He's gonna lose production time there. That's also potentially add-on building time, right? So don't forget that. That's actually a pretty big factor in this, so I'd say that's something to keep in mind. As we do have the kickoff on the top side. Orbital command still coming through. The couple of gateways getting built up here. Get all of this established, and it's going to be seen now. Starport coming up, but again, there's just not a lot of anything like ready right away just yet is the problem, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And MaNa on the back of this is taking his expansion as well, right? So he will, at the very least, be able to contain MilkiCow here and apply a little bit of pressure. He doesn't need to kill him or anything. He already has the advantages that he's bargaining for here. And MilkiCow kind of, like, you know, scouted 2 gateways in the main, but didn't really know about this proxy or anything like that. So not really in the best position after, like you mentioned, floating back the barracks and whatnot to really break out of his own base for a bit here.
Yup. Absolutely. As just, yeah, Stalker's going to come back through and going to go after those SCVs. So here we are, ready to fight, ready to cause some trouble, cause some chaos, and it's going to be a little bit feisty as we do get 5 SCVs. The Sage tank shows up, though, and that's going to be the end of this for the moment. The tank pretty much puts a hard stop to it, but you can't take the expansion right now. As long as you can't take that expansion, I'm going to go ahead and say that that's a pretty big victory on the side of MaNa.
Yeah, that's the big deal right there. The Viking will potentially scout this proxy, but that does MaNa very little, or that does MilkiCow very little good. It really has snowballed a little bit, even though he was still alive after the proxy. MaNa's transition was just great at punishing here. And he did well enough early on, right, at delaying the barracks and whatnot and dealing with the EV on his side of things. So when all is said and done, he has a pretty strong advantage here, and there's 2 Stalkers even posted for the Vikings, so it'll take about half of its HP worth of damage before it has to evacuate and never try that again.
Orbital lifts off, just going to be seeing the Marines going to try and fight, as we do see the Stalkers walking into that tank range, so that's not exactly pretty. That ain't exactly great. We just have ourselves the couple tanks continue to siege, the Blink coming through, the Stalker still setting up here. We do have ourselves this continuation coming through for the moment, and take a second or so to get this settled.
Yeah, let's see what... I mean, there's not much that MaNa's going to be able to do offensively here. I mean, Blink's almost done, though, and now it's MilkiCow moving out. This is where he could potentially bleed some units here to the kiting of these Stalkers, especially once they get their confidence from their Blink ability, which is almost here. Now it's here. He will blink on forward and snipe 1 Marine. He knows where the army is, and it just heard him and saw it siege. So he's gonna have free reign to walk straight into the natural. Did utilize his blink a little bit prematurely, so is unable to, blink past the supply depots for the time being and into the main. But finally, he is. That tank is exposed on the low ground, but blink not available to finish the job off. Still very good position from the Stalkers, who continue to blink on forward and continue to dig themselves deeper into the base of MilkiCow, who has already lost 8 SCVs. 3 tanks now on the flank, 2 very likely to lose their lives, and the Stalkers now looking to disengage. A 3rd tank will go down, and this is a disaster.
Yeah, that's disastrous. That's honestly pretty darn game ending in a lot of ways, I would say. This is really not how you really want things to be going, so definitely pretty terrible if you are MilkiCow right now. This has been just MaNa through and through, right? He saw the barracks proxy early. He clearly got a plan up immediately as to what he wanted to do about it, and he's executed pretty well from there, so I think fair to say that MaNa is putting himself in a darn good position here so far.
Yeah, really running circles around MilkiCow at this point. Very difficult for MilkiCow to do anything. Stim is about to finish, but that's hardly gonna offer him much reprieve. Even if he was to kill every single one of those Stalkers, he is in such a difficult position and so hard-pressed to make something happen on the other side of the map. So I'm not sure what it's gonna be. There is +1 just started, very far away from finishing. Concussive shells as well. So, it's not like he's gonna grab all his SCVs and try for something right now or anytime soon.
I grab that OBS, which is nice or something, but yeah, you gotta do something as MilkiCow. Your army supply is up, your overall stay in this game is down. Problem is, if you do go across the map, I don't even know how much we love that, because you're talking about essentially running across the map into someone who is getting charged, getting extended thermal lance and Colossi. Like, he's gonna have the tools to deal with a push, I think. So, but then again, like, there's nothing else really going your way, so I guess maybe why don't you just go for it anyway? It's a rough time.
Right. It is a rough time. He's going to try to stabilize and play the turtle game instead. 3rd on location. At least he's going to use, the potential that he should have on the map, because MaNa should be accounting for the same things that we are. It's like, I did damage. There's no reason for me to, to be out on the map risking anything. You can have the map for the time being, and you can try to attack into me and whatnot. And if MilkiCow knows that this is the case, then, at least the 3rd on location is something that he can more or less safely bet on. But MaNa's gonna be annoying and gonna drop some Zealots to harass. Another Warping as well, which will force MilkiCow's hand into an all-in, which I don't think this was intended to be initially. He's gonna see the army of MaNa. He will get pushed back, and I mean, at this point, you might as well just call it.
Yeah, at this point, it's just game. I mean, you're gonna try and run forward, but these 2 Immortals are so tanky as well. That one is absolutely gonna get the job done. GG's, and MaNa is gonna take game number 1 off of MilkiCow. Looking good in the setup, and again, just getting good scouting information, cats. He knew what was up quickly, he knew what was up straight away, and by knowing what was up, he was able to make good choices preemptively in his head, know what he was going to be doing, and that obviously goes a long way to helping out and putting you in a good position. So that obviously is all good stuff as we get ourselves readied up for game number 2 here in just a couple of seconds.
No doubt.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean that's a sad game, right? Like, MaNa did amazing, obviously, but MilkiCow really didn't get to show anything in that game. Ever since the beginning, he was just kind of a little bit behind, and MaNa just kept doing a great job of capitalizing on the smallest edges, time and time again, until it was a little bit too much to overcome for MilkiCow. But well done from MaNa, right? I really like the way he was thinking as well, like very positional play with the blink, very nice use of his observer and the information that he was gaining to kind of like outmaneuver his opponent. So MaNa definitely playing very, very well, very good. MilkiCow might want to just not proxy and see how that goes, right?
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. I mean, he is an aggressive player, but he's also very good at being aggressive later in the game, where he just keeps building bio, and with all that bio, he just goes as MaNa sends the instant probe onto the map. All right, let's speed through some intros. Top left-hand side, Red Terran player, MilkiCow.
And in the bottom right-hand side, it is with a very fast probe out on the map, but a pylon yet. Still, it is MaNa. So I guess he just wants to make sure that he's not getting proxied.
Yep.
Or is he doing some nasty next level?
No, I think he just wants to know immediately what's up, right? He's going to come and check. He wants to just be annoying. Because it's such a short map anyway, the probe arrives super quick, so you can even kind of stop the wall off from coming down, for example. So I think that's pretty reasonable. Let's just have our probe moving back up this high ground, and just going to keep on wandering about for a couple of moments.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So you actually get all the scouting as well, so you see double gas on the way. That's something that you wouldn't have known otherwise as well, right? So that's something else you can think of here. Just information you can gather in a moment.
That will work out for MaNa then, as he heads on to the natural of MilkiCow, knows everything that's coming out. MilkiCow a little bit in the dark. It still is such an early probe scout, no?
Oh,
but I guess
absolutely.
Delaying the wall is nice.
Like, it was an immediate probe scout. So, yeah, sorry, I just need to put something, make a noise.
It's gonna be millions of dollars. No worries.
No, it's
millions of dollars died from this probe.
Yeah, millions. Not sure if it's 5 million scouts.
At least a few.
At least a few.
$40. Let's call it $40. I don't actually know how much mining time could be lost here, but
it is significant. But you force a probe.
It's a minute and yeah.
You force an SCV off the line as well. Remember, right? Because you've got to chase that probe around. So there is some gain, and because you get across the map quickly, because it's a short map, that is a benefit as well, where you're across the map super quick, so you're immediately aware of the fact, like, oh, I've got to pull this worker super quickly, I've got to get that, like, you know, immediately, so the sooner that happens, the more economic damage evens out, I suppose. So maybe that's kind of part of the logic of it, maybe that's part of the resolution, is now we do build a proxy as well, so here we go.
Okay, I like it. And on the other side, we have MilkiCow moving with his first Reaper. This is going to be the guy that's going to gather him information for the first time in the game. And MaNa is going for an Adept. So it's already out, in fact, and it's going to shade past the first Reaper. Going to know where it is, but actually the Reaper gets in, kind of, right? Like the next Adept, however, is not yet out, but MilkiCow didn't press on fast enough that he's going to be able to take advantage, I think, of that timing. Maybe one probe, and he does get it. That's nice.
Yeah, of course, a probe is always going to be a nice catch. Anytime you can find a worker here, you're pretty much going to take that. So, hell yeah, we take those. And we just have ourselves another probe going down. The more that we do this, the better off we're going to be, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But the Hellion might be trapped here. It is very, very low, and is now attempted at being cornered for the Adept, who gets a little bit too greedy, wanting both maybe the Hellion and the Reaper, and in going and in searching for that next level play, he lets both get away and actually loses an extra couple of probes in the process.
This Reaper is not stopping cats. He's gonna get so much damage done. MilkiCow early game is popping. I mean, MaNa is on that proxy game. He is gonna put some pressure on. MilkiCow is still yet to expand to the low ground as well, so all this damage is somewhat necessary, remember, as well. Otherwise, this would have been a lot of a much easier time. So, yeah, I guess if you keep that in mind, maybe this is still okay for MaNa for the moment.
Yeah, maybe so. There is a single Widow Mine loaded in this medevac, and it's going across the map. There is a Hellion as well now going into the natural expansion of MaNa, which will be a little bit annoying. What might prevent one of those units from being warped in at the proxy and instead being warped into the Fen. And now, I mean, there is no medevac here because it's on the other side trying to put pressure with a Widow Mine. I'm not sure how much I like that, quite honestly. It did force two Stalkers to be warped in on the other side, but MilkiCow does not have the attention to spare to burrow the Widow Mine fast enough to make use of it, as he is preoccupied with MaNa's attack at his own base, and 8 SCVs have already fallen there.
Yep, that's a lot of damage done, so work is going down. MaNa evening out some of the damage taken in these early stages, so putting some progress in at the moment. I'm just going to be seeing our Blink coming in, Raven coming out. Just going to be seeing extra Marines and the Orbital coming through as well.
Yeah, the Adept will shade in potentially, or at least just to scout the location of what's going on here. The few stalkers are going to try to form a contingency, and the tank sieges and sieges, and then sieges again to make sure that he is going to remain safe. But quite clearly, the intent of MilkiCow is to at least push forward to where he can take his expansion and start, you know, like equalizing things on the economic front. Two Adepts will be kind of sacrificed here for mana. But good move from MilkiCow as well to follow through with the tank so that the stalkers don't have an opening if Blink was complete to blink onto it and kill it.
Yep, I'm with you. It's slow going, but the right calls being made essentially here so far. Let's just see a few stalkers are going to relocate a little bit, and we're finally going to get pushed away. But all this time, MilkiCow's just been battling to take his base, cats. That's obviously a long time. It all adds up. I was going to see another Nexus going down onto the third base as well, so we take position with that straight away and get that on the go as well.
Yes, indeed. There is a Banshee now popping up as well. So we'll see if MilkiCow can make use of that. There is no cloak as far as I'm aware, right? So it's just going to be the Raven here, trying to drop some turrets to help the Banshee potentially, or maybe the Banshee just moving with the army by the looks of it.
I mean, Banshee is a good high DPS unit, so it's not the craziest thing to kind of see this being a decision to just sort of say, like, hey, look, I'm just going to kind of bring this with Marine Tank Banshee. It's a high DPS army. If you can't get on top of it and kind of remove it quickly as MaNa, this can become very problematic very quickly, so...
Okay. Let's see what the Banshee can accomplish here, as it doesn't want to get exposed, and that's a good corner to fight if you are MilkiCow. But on the way up, actually, the Banshee does get cornered and executed. The tank is sieged on the low ground, so MaNa's gonna have to be forced to disengage here, and MilkiCow gains ground towards his third base as the Raven unfortunately gets rallied back to the army.
We are just ticking towards the charge upgrade being done, right? And obviously the moment that charge upgrade finishes is a big deal for MaNa. He gets on top of a tank here. There's one tank on that low ground, and he's got Blink to kind of close the distance, so that tank's going to die as well. And that's a cleanup from MaNa.
Yeah, cleanup and a half indeed. I mean, that's gonna be very difficult for MilkiCow to recover from. That's a lot of very expensive pieces and 3 tanks that he loses in that push. So yeah, they're not gonna be easy to replace, right? It's not like he just lost some semi-disposable army. It's kind of like his defense, it's his anchors, and it's what he was hoping to make a siege happen with, and maybe to take down the third of MaNa while he works on his own. Instead, it's going to be his third that's going to be denied by this little contingency of units inside of his own main.
Yep. Absolutely, as we just have ourselves the attack in. Tank already going down. MaNa's numbers are looking good. Is he looking for a 2-0 here, cats, if he can get this win? And he is going to get another tank. Every time a tank dies, I'm just like, man, that's surely so painful for MilkiCow, because he just needs some way to hold on, some way to find a defense, but MaNa doesn't let him have any of it.